أهلا وسهلا جميعا. Hello everyone. So my name is Iyad Rida. I have been in the practice for nearly 25 years. I obtained my license. I studied law, and I obtained my license in 1999, and since then I have been practicing. Of course, today I believe we have half an hour.
Yeah, we have an hour.
Okay, good. So today I prepared a little presentation. Part of the presentation is what's next, way forward, career advice. But also part of the presentation is other skills that most of us will need in day to day in our practice, in our coexisting, in live, work, and play. And these are three components that you should not forget as graduates. So I work closely with more than 50 lawyers. Between 8 and 6 I lawyer, but also I have other hobbies. I'm a handyman, so part of my day-to-day is to enjoy construction, enjoy other activities. And this is something that we will be talking about during the presentation. As most of you is about to do a major decision, whether should I have a private practice experience, should I continue my study, should I go to the government, should I be at home until I find a unique opportunity, different decisions. There is no right or wrong in your career. The most important element that first years of your career are the most important years. The reason of that, you need to make sure that every investment you do during the first years will pay back at some stage. So rather than taking a huge risk, at least build the skills, make sure you build a proper career. And this is very critical for everyone. So we will start with some skills or some requirements. Some of them are related to what you are exactly doing now, academic skills. Those academic skills are very critical today. And the difference between two different students or two different grads, one of them will be in a position to analyze, one of them will be in a position to understand, to read, and to find. And those skills are very critical today. We sometimes interview or even recruit or train students who are not in a position to find the proper information or to draft a piece of a memo or to go to and find or a benchmark. So there is an element in every lawyer. We don't expect in our practice that all lawyers will have similar skills. Some lawyers are better than others when it comes to analysis. Some lawyers are better than others when it comes to presentation. Some lawyers are better than others when it comes to drafting. But also, there is an element of success and an X factor in each lawyer. And this is something you need to find. What exactly I'm good at? Am I a good negotiator? Am I a good drafter? Am I a good representative? Do I negotiate well? Do I draft well? Do I think well? Do I read between lines? What exactly your factor? And this is very important. It's like any practitioner, an accountant. There are forensic accountant, there is a basic accountant, there are accountants who take care of merger and acquisition or transactions. This is something you need always to think, what exactly my element when it comes to the skill. Research is very critical in nowadays. With AI, with a lot of, I would say, sources, some of them very reliable sources, where we have government databases or government process databases, but we also have resources that you cannot rely on. And this is very risky in your advice or career or role. You deal daily with different clients. whether it's your employer, whether it's private sector, whether it's a government sector, whether it's transactional or individuals. And you need to provide information. What is the source of information? As an academia, you always need to have reliable sources. You cannot blindly use AI. You cannot blindly use resources that they are not reliable. I always say the difference between human and any other thing, whether it's an object or any other kind of elements in life, is communication. If you don't do communication well, you will have a problem. Communication in terms of your colleagues, communication in terms of your clients, communication in terms of your critics, communication in terms of difficult times. As a lawyer, education will always continue. It will never end, whether it's academic education, whether it's an education associated with your career, recent development. If you are practicing in Saudi Arabia, I'll give you some facts. In the last 5 years, there are more laws and policies created than the last 60 years. It's technically, the system has been reformed. So if you're not updated, and we have a saying today in a practice, we say that if you don't read the law twice a week, you're out of date. That quick and that speedy. So you just cannot rely on what you studied here. What you studied here is the key. Is the key of how to analyze, how to think, how to research, how to be updated. But you always need to be updated. And what's happening today with Vision 2030, it's a bit difficult to stay away from any updates. Otherwise, you will really be out of date. Corporate laws has been updated twice in the last 10 years. All the data privacy laws are new. Telecommunication laws are new. Court system is getting updated almost every quarter. These updates are very critical because you will not be able to practice without knowing them. Details, details, details. This is something that we take very serious in the legal industry. So you need to read, you need to be able to understand, but you also need to pay attention to details. And the difference between a decent lawyer and a good lawyer is the attention to details. And these details are the secret of, I would say, secret recipe of success. And it goes not only in your day-to-day work, but also it goes to a level where you need to pay attention to details to the client requirement or what exactly expected from you as a lawyer. Passion. It's very normal that sometimes we see people, it doesn't matter for him or for her. What do you want to do? Anything. What kind of career? Anything. What are you interested in? Anything. Frankly speaking, anything sometimes is not good. It's too dangerous. You need to have passion in something. You need to have at least passion to try. Whether you are a regulatory lawyer, you are an international lawyer, whether you're an IP lawyer, a corporate lawyer, or litigator. But you need to have some passion at some time. Otherwise, frankly speaking, we saw people who spent 10 years in their career without taking a step in their career. The reason of that, they don't have any passion. It doesn't matter. Next morning, another day, أمشي أكل 3 وجبات, I eat 3 meals, and that's it. And this is not, frankly speaking, why you're created. You need to do some kind of difference. And that difference will only come if you are passionate about something. Any kind of practice. There is no good practice or bad practice. You don't have to be all corporate lawyers or international lawyers or in international organizations or local government entities or international corporates. No. But you need to have some passion at least to develop that skill or that passion toward a certain career element where you become at some stage an expert. Usually it takes many, many hours to be an expert in something. And you cannot just be an expert from AI or from 4 years in the university or 7 years studying. You need to spend some time enjoying and learning more and doing what you do with passion. Awareness is very critical. In our industry, it's personal. So it's a professional service. Meaning, if I will advise someone, I will need to be able to understand their business. And understanding their business is very critical to provide advice. So you can answer a question, anyone can answer a question. In fact, Google can answer a question or AI can answer a question. But being able to understand the core business of your counterpart, whether it's an organization, whether it's a company, whether it's a government entity, it's very critical to understand the elements of the business, how the business operates, how each dollar goes from one side to another side, how the decision making is being decided or taken. These questions will make a better lawyer and a better advice. Many lawyers, they give you a blanket advice. Most of the time, it doesn't work because they have no clue of what exactly that entity does. It's a very critical to understand. When you go to a doctor, he will ask you many, many questions. Some of them, they are not directly related to the visit or the purpose of the visit, but he will need to be able to understand what is your lifestyle, how do you live, how do you eat, how do you practice your daily routine in order for him to be able to diagnose the problem. There is a very critical element of social and personal skills. And if I can share what is the best experience of training people once they finish their academic progress, it's personal skills. Personal skills means crisis management. Personal skills means time management. Personal skills means communication. And personal skills means being able to play in a team. I saw many, many lawyers who are perfect players solo. They don't continue. Because many of the big assignments, they will not be conducted solo. You will need to have a big team. You will need to be able to adapt. You will need to be able to work with others. And this is very critical. You can reach faster alone, but you will not reach far. It's a rule of life. I saw many solo lawyers who can't work with others, but they did not achieve well. And the reason, they're not team players. You need to be able to deal with Saudi clients, Saudi people, non-Saudi, international people, difficult people, grumpy client who are difficult to please, many other kind of humans you will be dealing with in real life. Don't expect to play alone. As you graduate, there will be opportunities. And some of those opportunities are good, but some of them are short-term and some are long-term. There is no right or wrong answer again, but if I give my best advice, always think long-term. Think about career development. Think about education. Think about building your career and CV. And there are certain tips you need to avoid as lawyers, especially nowadays where everyone is recruiting and it's a big party when it comes to the legal industry. It's like someone told me this morning, it's like a toy shop where everyone is shopping and everyone is trying to get different items. But you need to be very careful of where you go. What is it for you when it comes to your career development, your knowledge, your network, and your skills? It's a very critical element today to avoid jumping, to avoid taking decisions that are not calculated. I know there will be a North Star. There is always somewhere you are targeting or you are going to, whether it's international organization, whether it's an international corporation, whether it's international court, whatever it is. But make sure every step you do from now until you reach there, it's in the right direction. So there's no right or wrong answer what is the right direction, but there is definitely a star you are heading toward. Just make sure you are going always in the right direction. No one is expected to know everything. So we witnessed many trainees whom they feel it's shame to ask or to be able to communicate or to be able to inquire about what's right, what's wrong. When you join a practice, and this practice has been going for many, many years, there are many elements in that practice that you are not familiar with. And no one is expected to expect you to be familiar with. No, it's normal. Each organization has its own house style. Each organization has its own way to do business. It's okay to ask. It's okay to be mentored. It's okay to be supervised. So don't expect that you know everything from day one. Movies does not say the whole story when it comes to the mechanic of how to be a good lawyer. Life happens while we are doing the most difficult things. So in our profession, as a legal profession, it's very normal to be addicted to work. Be careful. You always need to have this balance of live, work, and play. If you like swimming, continue swimming. If you like playing music, do it. If you like car racing, do it. Whatever your passion, you need to continue. Don't go into a dark area where you forget about your life, your family, your friends, and your health. In our profession, it's very normal. We saw many people, they went wrong. They enjoy 15 hours a day. 5 years down the road, they don't want to continue working. They don't want to do anything. They get banned. So be careful when you start your career, especially when you join an amazing team, a successful team. I'm not saying don't be careless, but you need to have this balance correct. The balance is very difficult in the legal industry. It's one of the most difficult. It's like healthcare. If we witnessed post-COVID, what happened? Many of the healthcare practitioners, they stop practicing. They get banned, but not by choice. Here, you need to be very careful not to be in that position. You need to be balanced, you need to enjoy, you need to be serious about your career, but you need also be careful. You need to be careful about, do I enjoy life? Do I see my family? Do I see my friends? Do I do my hobbies? These questions need to be addressed I would say regularly, and I would say frequently, and you need to check every once in a while whether you are doing the things you like, whether you are developing certain skills, social skills. And I met many, many lawyers, and many of them, they are also successful in other parts of life, whether socializing, whether NGOs, whether non-profits, whether family gatherings, whether fishing or golfing or whatever it is. Just make sure you don't forget that there is a life other than your career and practice. It's okay to do mistakes. It's normal to do mistakes, because if you are trying, it means that there will be certain mistakes. Just make sure you don't do them again and you learn. If you do mistakes again and again, there's a problem. If you don't learn, there's a bigger problem, because you already paid the price. So it's okay to do mistakes, but you need to make sure those mistakes will be a part of your educational progress. Um, we talked about teamwork. Again, you will be working with others, and those others, they have different communication skills. Those others will be um, different demands, different ways to do business. There's no right or wrong way, but those are humans, and when you deal with humans, it's very difficult because everyone has different communication skills, different expectations, and different way of doing business. Make sure you communicate well. Time is critical for lawyers because um, you can manage your time well and have more time, but you can manage your time poorly and start to go into an area of delays and not meeting deadlines. And it's very critical to consider three elements. One, priorities. What is important, what is must, and what is a luxury. Number two, you need to expect time and read time correctly. If it takes 5 hours, if you promise after 2 hours, you are not in a good position. You either jeopardize quality or you will not be able to meet deadline. So time is a part of the process of success. And sometimes you can expedite, sometimes you can get more resources to be on the assignment, but you also need to be able to calculate time correctly. Otherwise, you will be that lawyer who never met a deadline. And if people start not to trust your timelines, you have a bigger problem in your future because you will not be reliable. If he says tomorrow, it means Wednesday. If he says 5 p.m., it means tomorrow morning. 4 a.m. or 4 p.m. is it's not 4:05, it's not 5. You need to be able. And part of your communication is if you can't meet the deadline, you need to communicate. Sometimes things happen. If you are not meeting the deadline, communicate. Don't expect client will be, or your boss or your colleagues, don't expect them to be able to be aware that you're not delivering at 4, you're delivering at 6 p.m. You need to communicate. And you need to communicate before 4, not after 4. Emotional intelligence is very critical in our business. Some businesses, it doesn't matter. In the legal industry, again, it's personal, it's professional. You can be angry, but you need to control yourself. You need to control yourself in front of others, in front of judges, in front of co-workers, in front of clients. And it's very critical to be able to communicate smartly without showing emotions. Very critical in our business because sometimes clients they are just frustrating. They are over demand, they don't appreciate. You need to be able to be contained. Otherwise, you will lose it. You will not be able to deliver. You will not be able to continue in business. You will not be able. We saw angry clients. They are worse than angry birds, wallah. They are crazy. They are everywhere. They scream all the time. They fight all the time. 3 years down the road, they cannot survive. You need to be in control. Not every judge will be communicative. Not every assignment or committee or a teamwork or organization will be flexible or communicative, but you need to be contained. I attended many, many meetings where lawyers, they throw spoons and cups from one side of the room to the other side. And usually they never achieve something. We are in times where technology plays a major role. And we are still adapting as a Saudi practice. And we need to know how to utilize the technology in a best manner. You cannot, it's like in 2000 or 1998, everyone is talking about emails and you say, I'm not using them. you need to observe and you need to be in a position to say, how can I utilize AI or how can I utilize the technology in my best interest? So I always advise you need to keep an eye on the technological side of the legal practice. It's evolving, it's moving quickly. Every day we adapt, but also governments are working extremely hard to regulate. So there is so much ethical elements you need to be aware of. It's like plagiarizing in the academic world. You need to be careful. Clients, they want your wise opinion, they want your views, they want your experience, they want the merits of your thoughts. Everyone, if you can access AI, they can access AI. Whatever you utilize in the technology in the right way need to be in very ethical and careful manner. But it's very difficult in the legal industry to maintain always positive position. The reason of that is it's a stressful job. It's not one of those jobs you go home and you disconnect easy. While you are sleeping, there will be certain views in your head. What will happen tomorrow? What do I have tomorrow? I need to finish this agreement. I need to attend this hearing. It's very continuously engaging job. And maintaining positive energy is very critical in our industry. Even if you are in the academic sector or if any international organization, usually the legal aspect of the practice is more stressful than many other jobs. And you always need to have this ability to survive and the ability to continue and the ability to continue growing. It's very critical in your career, and it's very, I would say, essential to remember always that you need to continue. So positivity is very critical when it comes to continuing in the sector. A few, I would say, final remarks. You need to be proactive. We see newly joining lawyers to the workforce, and we observe them, and some of them are very proactive. They go, they find solutions, they read, they search, and they come with answers. Those are one of the best, I would say, one of the best qualities that every lawyer has to keep. It's very critical to be able to find solution, to be able to be proactive, to be able to think and read the problem before it takes place. You need to be innovative. In today's world, solutions that created or established 30 and 40 years ago might not be the best solutions for today. I will tell you, I used to draft article of associations from A to Z. Today, it's a multiple choice. It's a multiple choice. But there are other elements, and say, for example, transactional work or bilateral agreement between different countries, or there are different updated solutions in our industry. You always need to be able to innovate, to be updated, and to be able to utilize those newly established solutions for your practice. Again, we talked about being well-informed, updated. It's very critical. It's moving fast, not only in Saudi, around the world. Maybe some of you, they are not aware of some historical legal aspects. I'll give an example. Mobile phone with camera. At some stage used to be, it's not far away, maybe 20 years ago, used to be a crime if you take it to any public entity. Less than 20 years ago. You are not allowed to take it to any wedding or public event. and you will sign an undertaking not to do it again. Today, they are competing 8 megapixel, 20 megapixels, and you can use it everywhere. There is an element of regulatory aspects that comes with every new technology. The good things are governments are adapting to new technologies. So what they do, they either regulate before or they regulate after. And the perfect example of that is AI. Most governments are quiet about it to see how can they utilize the technology in the best way. Some of them, they are drafting policies, ethical elements, and protection elements from cybersecurity, but some governments are very quiet. They say, let's see how it goes, let's keep an eye, and then we will regulate. Sometimes you can do the job, full stop. But sometimes you can do the job in style, with passion, but also you care. And this goes to any profession. Legal is one of them. Whether you are an employee, whether you are a decision making, whether you are a head of entity, whether you are a partner in a law firm, if you care, you'll achieve better. And the qualities will be much better in terms of deliveries. If you care in teaching, you will deliver better. If you care in being a diplomat or international organization or a lawyer, you will deliver better. If you care, things are going to be different. And this is the exact difference between equality and the no quality. Some companies, they care about details. So you will always want to be with them, whether it's a food, whether it's a ride, whether it's a service. If they care, it means they will go the extra mile. They will be tailor-making solutions for you. And this is what you need to do when you provide your service or when you do something. In our industry, it's very critical to be socially updated. I'm not expecting, and by the way, I met many lawyers around the world, and many of them, they are very good in the legal aspect, but they have no clue what's going around them. And reality is, they always provide, I would say, very weak, socially weak advice or impractical advice. You need to be updated of at least the minimum level of knowledge in almost every aspect around us. In order for us to be able to advise on sport contracts, we need to be able to know what sports means. What is the relationship between a sponsor and a football club? What is the relationship between a team manager and players? What is sponsorship between investors and shareholders? You need to be able to know the ecosystem at least. You don't need to know the details of everything, but at least you need to have a minimum basic knowledge. And today we have, just in the cultural element, around 20 government entities or centers in fashion, in food, in music, in sports, and museums. Frankly speaking, we need to read. I did not know that fashion industry has so much legal elements in it. IP rights, production, marketing, international agreements, and the museums. Right to show, right to own, many other rights you need to be able to advise on only if you have an idea about the ecosystem. So my best advice to you, yes, you will continue to read in legal or legal related aspects, but also you will need to be able to be aware of what's going on around you. My last two remarks. One of them is time is part of any success story. And time means more knowledge. Time means more connections. Time means ability to know where are you going. How will career look like? I always, in a young age, I always say be careful from certain things in your career. One of them, too many jumps, too many mistakes. Second thing is major mistakes. And if I want to define major mistakes, is car accidents, drugs, going wrong with wrong, I would say, friendship elements. These are things that change your life. And third element, you need to be patient. You need to be patient. Patient mean you cannot stay at the same time for the rest of your life, but at least you need to be aware that if you need to spend 3 years in a place to gain relevant experience, do it. If you need to study, you cannot take a master's degree in 1 month. It's either fake or there is something fishy about it. It's 1 to 2 years program. If you want to gain experience and to be an experienced lawyer, you need good 7 to 10 years to start to show that you have some element of knowledge. So time is part of the success story. In the legal industry, again, we need to remind, you need to be connected. Networking is very critical. It's part of who we are. Those who are isolated will not be a good lawyers. You need to be able to blend, you need to be able to communicate, you need to be able to carefully disagree with people. It's okay. Professionally, we disagree. We are 65 lawyers, we disagree all the time. But we have an art of disagreement in our workplace with our clients. And remember, it's a bit of a risky job because the best person to blame is the lawyers, then the accountants. It's normal in our industry because your job is risk, your job is protection, your job is compliance, your job is many things. So you need to be careful when you provide the advice, you need to be careful when you communicate, you need to be careful what's in the emails, you need to be careful how to do your career and your practice. I think we are reaching the end. Thank you for attending. I will be very happy to take any questions or inquiries.
Thank you very much, Dr. Riyad. We leave it to the students if you have any questions. Anybody has any questions? Yes.
Yes, I wanted to ask about the international litigation department that your law firm has.
Yeah.
I just want to know more about international litigation.
Perfect. So, for many reasons, whether reasons associated with the nature of the engagement with clients, some of them they don't want to litigate in Saudi Arabia. It's a normal process in our industry. So you can have either international litigation inside Saudi or outside Saudi. When it comes to international litigation, we as Saudi lawyers, unless you have New York Bar or LPC in UK or you are qualified in certain jurisdiction, but the best way to do it, we use lawyers from each jurisdiction to do that assignment. The most important element, if the interest is in Saudi Arabia, you need to double check the enforceability. We have many Saudi clients who choose to litigate in the UK, and then they got an amazing awards, judgments, but they cannot enforce in Saudi because there is no bilateral treatment between Saudi Arabia and the UK when it comes to litigation.
As a judgment.
As a judgment,
yes.
not as an
As
arbitration is a different story. Arbitration, you have 1958, 1994 New York Convention. You have all the list of arbitration Saudi Arabia is a member of, so it will be enforced. And the Saudi enforcement laws clearly tackle arbitration. So arbitration is a different story. We're talking about litigation in different jurisdiction. The US is a challenge. Cayman is a challenge. France is a challenge. Just you need to make sure if you are practicing in one jurisdiction, you don't cross jurisdiction your practice. And we saw many people who try to advise on Saudi law for their clients in Saudi courts, and it goes south. So you need to be careful when it comes to litigation about enforceability, about why, and still when it comes to international courts, not arbitration, you need to be careful about the major principles of contracting and Sharia element if you want to enforce in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Faisal Hilal. I'm a fourth year, and I'd like to inquire about the co-op system that you have.
Okay, so we did we developed a system of co-op. Different universities in Saudi Arabia, they have different co-op systems. Some of them 3 months, some of them 6 months, some of them 7 months, and somewhere in between. We don't treat co-ops as someone who want to get a piece of paper at the end of the 6 months. Definitely there is a rotation at least on 3 divisions, in which we have 4 major divisions, and we have subdivisions that do different type of practice. But we expect at least litigation, corporate, and regulatory. You will be spending time in each of them. What are you going to do? You're going to do anything from preparing drafts, from doing a research, from conducting a due diligence, from conducting a questionnaires for different clients, preparing, going into workshops, preparing notes. So you will be doing a real job. The most important element in your co-op is, number one, to make sure you are learning something, you're exposed to something. It will help you to be able to know what do you want next. It's okay. Between age 20 and 27, I always say this period is istikshaf. It's exploring. If you do it with money, it's good. If you do it with more experience and learning, it's even better. But at least you have an access to opportunity to know what exactly you want. Many people, it's normal, many people who studied law, they don't do law. They do jobs related to the legal industry. Compliance, board secretary, risk officers, many things. There are many other jobs that requires a legal background, but it's not lawyering. They are as important as lawyering. Being a board secretary of a listed company is a very critical job. You will make sure every decision is legal. You will make sure every decision is implementable. You will make sure there's no conflict of interest. You will make sure you are adhering to CMA rules and other rules. What I'm saying is, it's a very critical time for you to learn, to be exposed to what's next. Do I want to continue in private practice? Do I want to be a government official? Do I want to be an international organization official? So it's a very critical for you as much as for us. Confidentiality is very critical. At a young age, you will be exposed to many things. You need to be able to disconnect. Not to تروح في الليل, you play ballot and share everything you are doing during the day. It's not good. Or clients' names, or it's a very critical element in your industry. You will be exposed. It's very normal in our industry that we hear a news about a new law or a new entity, and we did most of the work in our practice, but we pretend we know nothing about it. It's a new news for us. So confidentiality in the legal industry is very critical. And we saw many young people, they did not take it serious, and they get damaged. So I think you should be relaxed about it in terms of, do I need to be in this sector or not? It's a process, and this process you will be able to decide after studying more, after going to co-op experience, after looking into what exactly it means if I am in an United Nations organization or GCC or Arab League or law firms or international corporation or even a government entity in Saudi Arabia.
My name is Nizal Kurti, 4th year law student, and I guess I have a 2-part question. So when I first wanted to go into university, I knew immediately I wanted to do law. It was an easy decision. But I'm sure many students would relate that now that they've done law, it's harder to choose which specialization they want, not as easy. So I guess my question would be, how can a brand new student figure out what specialization they want? And what did you first specialize in, and did you stick with it?
Yes. Very good question. Again, I would say first 3 to 5 years in your career, it's okay to explore. Yani don't go to a retail sector or a transportation sector or a relevant sector. But as far as you are in the legal industry, you can explore in-house, explore being international, explore to be whether I'm a commercial or arbitration or litigation or employment lawyer. It's okay to explore. If it takes more than 5 years, I'll be worried. By age 27, I think you should be able to decide whether you want to be in-house, you want to be judicial, you want to be international. 3 to 5 years is the average time. Sometimes it takes 6, sometimes first year. We have people, mashallah, they are litigators from day one. From day one. I want to be a litigation. I want to be 100% involved in litigation, international litigations. We have people who decided to be arbitration from day one. We have people 100% sport laws from day one. He's an athlete. He wants to be in a sport law. He's studying sport law. He's doing everything associated with sports. He wants to be there. But few people, they want to see what exactly the difference between local and international, whether I want to be arbitration or advisory or international or diplomat or negotiator. For me, it's different. I started my career as a negotiator, part of the WTO ecosystem. And then I decided to be a private practitioner. I did one role in the government, deputy governor in investment. And then I decided to be a private practitioner. And I'm still continuing as a private practitioner. So it's okay. من 3 ل 5 سنوات, 3 to 5 years. It's okay إنه أنت you explore, you think, you see what's going on. If you know, it's good. But if you don't know, it's fine.
Some students ask me, doctor, when do they go for higher education for an LLM?
Okay.
I mean, in my time, it's probably different.
Yeah.
Probably.
For a practitioner, I'll tell you an experience from our side of the table. I always recommend, because LLM really does not require a lot of experience. It's not an executive MBA. It's not an MBA. I always say that if you want it and you are eager, just do it quickly. Disconnecting your work line experience or your career sometimes harm more than once you get involved into the career mood, just focus on the career. So I always advise that if you want to do co-op and then do LLM, it's a good idea. It's better than spending 5 or 6 years and then start to shine and then decide to continue your studies. This disconnect might be a disadvantage.
So 1 to 2 years after.
Maximum, yes. I would say don't 1 year is okay. We saw many people, they came to us 1 year. It's the year where they find the best schools. They want to go to the US or Barcelona, or we have someone today in China. He's doing LLM in China. He used to be a superstar. Another one in Sydney or Melbourne, Barcelona, US, UK, of course, France. So it's your choice. I always say that additional language is an advantage. People think that I'm twisted. But I think if you are lawyering in 3 languages, it's different from lawyering in 2 languages. So think outside the box. If you can get an opportunity of studying in Korea, in China, in Japan, how many lawyers will be able to communicate in 3 languages? Very little. Scandinavians. What I'm saying is, there are easy solutions, but there's always other solutions. Think outside the box.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My name is Muhammad Al-Zami. First of all, thank you for your lecture, Dr. Yeah. I want to ask you a question. تسمح لي أسألك بالعربي.
ايه تفضل.
وش الشيء اللي يميز شركة إياد رضا عن الشركات الباقية إذا أنا بسوي as a co-op student next year إن شاء الله.
Very good question. I don't want this session to be marketing. His question is, why do I will consider ERLF from other competitors? Frankly speaking, it's 3 elements. Number 1, every co-op experience has an advantage. So CMA has an advantage. Moani has an advantage. United Nations has an advantage. ERLF has an advantage. International law firms has an advantage. Every experience has. Don't go for something non-legal to do your co-op. We saw cases where someone doing a co-op in something totally irrelevant. What we are good at, we are a very strong local Saudi practice. We did 10 years with International Practice Association, so we have the international standards, even better. But we also have around 40 government entities in our books, more than 30 PIF companies. We draft laws, we represent ourselves well in front of Saudi litigation system. We have a good mix between VCs, SMEs, listed companies, Fortune 500, regional companies. So we are a good place for exposure, local and international. But we has nothing to do with international organizations. We draft agreements, bilateral agreements between Saudi Arabia and different countries. So if you go to United Nations or World Health Organization or any of international organizations, they have different kind of exposure. International law firms, they have different kind of exposure. What we bring to the co-ops, a very nice mix between local experience, international standards, and international experience. Purely legal. So if you are angry with your neighbor and you decide to get a fight with him, it's not our business. We don't do criminal, we don't do family law, we don't do certain practice. We are a business law firm. And this is the kind of experience you'll get from us. Different government entities, you will have a different exposure. تروح الحكومة حيكون عندك exposure مختلف. How to draft letters, how to process, how to be able to know the government system. So it depends on what exposure. تروح CMA, it's all about listing, conflict of interest, inside information, a legal process, how to deal with listed companies, how to deal with different boards. It's a different exposure. What do you want? So this is the question. It's not, each entity has qualities and you need to be able, what are you getting from this if you submit to CMA, or if you submit to a Diwan or Hayat Khubara or an embassies or any kind of experience will have different kind of exposure.
Regarding, like for example, public policy, I was informed that in certain law firms, when in regards to public policy, they may aid legislators in terms of forming new legislation.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes. In our firm, we helped in drafting more than around 150 laws in the last 5 years. And so we are a big kitchen to draft laws. So it starts from the concept, the idea, the necessity, and then you go through the local, we call it the as-is exercise, where you will study all the Saudi laws, and then you go into what's so-called the international benchmark, and then the legal gap analysis, and then drafting, first draft, second draft, and then you go to a different process, which is 713 royal decree, which is you need to make sure you share it with the public, you share it with different government stakeholders, you do. So this process is now very well established due to the fact that government entities are creating so much laws and regulations. So it's a well practice. I think there are 4 or 5 law firms, they do this, not everyone. Please.
I just have my first question. So what you're saying is, like, let's say I took the government and public policy.
Yeah.
In this case, it doesn't necessarily limit me to a government-only job. So what you're saying is I can also work in the private sector.
Yeah. Nowadays, yes. We talked about this, Dr. Turki and I. It used to be exclusive for government jobs. Today, private sector is helping government big time when it comes to drafting new laws, establishing new government entities, new government funds. So no, it's not exclusive today to government employees. Private sector is helping big time with those laws, regulations, and policies.
For those who are willing to work in the government, let's say the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you would still suggest that they apply to your firm to prepare them for such a step?
Absolutely. We had 3 or 4 previous co-op students. Today they are part of Saudi missions in different international organizations. Usually submission to Ministry of Foreign Affairs will take some time, and there is long process for it. But also you need to be able to see how the practice do these international agreements. So yes, to answer your question, we do prepare people who are interested in the, I would say, international jobs to be part of the co-op arrangement, definitely.
So
Minister of Foreign Affairs will advise
be
them.
able to draft conventions
Yes.
more than just going directly to
Absolutely. In our, I would say last 3 years, we managed to, I would say, participate legally in at least 4 international organizations where Saudi Arabia is a member in these organizations, whether it's maritime, whether it's Red Sea Securities, whether it's sports, culture, and different areas.
Any more questions? Well, we thank you very much, Dr.